We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob. We in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Izzle on it, only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Good with the OG like Flintstones, good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that you ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Come let the heat rock simmer.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of In the Studio with Rob. I am Rob, and I am with my man Izzle.
Here.
What's going on, young fella?
Feeling good, feeling great, sir. How are you?
Hey, all is well. Hey, we just welcoming the people back into the studio with us. You know, man, we're going to talk a little bit about something that we both know about.
What's that, sir?
Blended families.
Oh.
You know, I grew up as part of a blended family, a little bit whenever I could be around them. But so I had experience of that as a young child, and then fortunately, my family became a blended family. So I'm going to try to share some of the things that I learned early that I think helped me later. But then also some of the struggles and some of the things that we experienced. Also is, well, you know, you got a little blended there as well that you're going to help, you know, maybe share a little bit with.
Yeah, it's a little blend in there.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about that because I think a lot of people struggle with this and because they don't understand. One of the things I learned, I'm going to tell you this first. One of the things I learned early about, you know, when we talk about blended family is that my siblings are only my brothers and sisters. I never looked at them ever as a half or steps and all the other stuff that people put categories on. Either you're my sister or my brother or you're not. And that always helped me to be able to treat them the same. Now, I can't speak for how they see me or how they speak about me or what they think. I can't speak to that. But I can speak for myself. I never looked at any of them as a half or, you know, this, you know, you're just my brother. If you came from my mom or my dad, you a brother or a sister. That's the way it is. And that's the only way I ever looked at it. So I think that helped me in how I treat them. Now, don't mean that, you know, because I grew up with my sisters, you know, just me and my sister, you know, of course there's different experiences that we had that may not apply to my other siblings. But as far as I was concerned, as far as that person, that sister or that brother, it's always the same. Without, you know, again, different experiences because we grew up in different places, and you know, my mom, you know, had, you know, my sisters and me, and she took us through certain things that maybe the rest of them didn't go through with their mother or with my mom or with their mom and my dad, for those that was with him. So it is a little different in that way, but how I treated them or how I thought about them was always the same. And then also, I think I was about maybe 14. I came to, I came to Philly to stay with my dad for a year. I was 13 years old, turned 14. And that summer or either later in the year, I can't remember exactly when, but my dad's wife took us, we went, me and my younger brothers, we went somewhere, I don't know, but we was with her. And as we was with her, and she saw some of her old friends. Now, she's only like 9 years older than me, so she ain't that much older than me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so she ain't that much older than me. She's only like 9 years older than me. But when we went out, you know, so when we were out, and she saw some of her old classmates or people in her neighborhood or whatever, she introduced me, and she said, "This is my son." And you could see in their faces, they was looking like, "Oh, that's your son, that boy too big," you know. But she wasn't worried about explaining it. That's how she looked at it. And so I asked her later, I was like, "Yo, well, why did you introduce me like that? You know, they know." She was like, "Look, whatever they know, if the ones that know me knew I didn't have a child when I was 9, so they know it ain't. But for those that don't, it ain't none of their business. She said, I just need to know, or I need to be able to treat you like you're my son, as long as you're with us. And that registered a lot with me. And I understood that in a way that I love my mom, always have, and my mom was always cool. She never tried to be my mom. She was just like, yo, you with us, so I'm going to be your mom here. And I'm going to discipline you. I'm going to, take care of you. I'm going to treat you the same way I treat the others. And, and as a child and even as a young man, we had an outstanding relationship because that's how she treated me. Now, unfortunately, as we got older, both of us, things got in the way and the relationship wasn't as good later, or it hasn't returned to the level it was when we were young. But that taught me so much about how you treat children. And when I decided, when me and my first wife didn't make it and we were, I'm, about to get married again, the one thing I looked at that made me want to marry my wife was that when she looked at my children or when she did things, she was doing something like when she go shopping, this even before we got married, she would go and pick up stuff for my kids. It's like, oh, I got this because I think it make their hair look better. For talking about my daughters, or I think the boys will, or I think
I think the boys should match.
Yeah, she
thought that a lot.
But the thing of it was that she thought if I buy for one, I'm gonna buy for another. I'm not gonna separate your kids from mine. It was always we the same, they the same, and that's what made me say, yo, she get it. And that was tied into my youth. But I never understood that that's where it was tied to. But those are the things that make you say, okay, this is something that you have to understand when you're talking about blended family. You can't be getting into it with all these labels. Either we family or we not family. We ain't step families and we ain't half families and half of this and half of that. We a family or we not. And I think too many times with people, when they either have children prior to their current relationship, or they even have children within a relationship, and they trying to bring all this thing together, we try to separate my child from your child, or they not going to get this because they got another family or another home over here. And it's like, no, when you come to my house, I got to make sure everything you need is in my house. And so, and whatever you get extra or whatever you get over there at the other house, that had nothing to do with me. I can't hold back from you because you might get something over there. My thing is, we gonna take care of you as if the same way we take care of everybody. And we expect you to act a certain way when you come here, regardless of what your other home might look or act like. Whatever the rules are, when you come here, you have to understand, be clear on what our rules are. And I think for a lot of times for children, that's difficult. But the parents are the ones that have to be, focused and stand tall on, these are our rules. We're not bending our rules. We're not changing our rules. We're going to church or we're not going to church. We're going to make sure we expect your grades to be A's or we don't. But we can't be going back and forth because you got a different set of rules at the other house. We only can hold on to you. And so for our kids, when they come, that weekend and they're at the house, it's like, yo, we doing stuff that everybody should hopefully enjoy, or whatever we got planned is for everybody. It's not for this person and they just tag alongs. If we haven't, look, I remember, and I don't know if you can remember this, but remember we had when you had a little sleepover at the house, mm-hmm. and you had your boys from Jersey and they came over, but we also had people that you knew from Philly, and mm-hmm. so again, so I took all the boys. We went to the park, played some ball, did some boxing, a whole bunch of different things that we did. But now, we don't have any girls outside of my two daughters. My wife and I, we didn't have any little girls. But because we did it for the boys, we did it for them as well. And we allowed them to bring their friends from Jersey, and we had some friends daughters that came, and my wife did the same thing. She made sure they did tie-dyes and all the goofy stuff that girls do. It wasn't as fun as ours, of course, because we were doing our thing. But it was the same thing. We're gonna make sure that you're gonna have those moments to remember, whether you live here all the time or not. You're gonna experience those times, experience those moments where she can pour into you as young women or even as young men, and not have to think, oh well, this isn't. I'm just a stepchild, or I'm my dad's child, and she just doing it for them. No, it becomes that love thing, and I think, especially as they got older, I think I know from my daughter, as she's going through things, and my oldest daughter, and she's counted on my wife and has looked at her for, if I need you, I know you're gonna be there. And the same thing with my son. I mean, they, my wife and my son, they end up getting, as he got older, the closer they got. But again, those are things that you pour into a child, you pour into the relationship to build those relationships, and not look at it just an also ran, or just, I'm just doing it because I'm married to her. No, don't do it for me. Do it because the child needs this relationship, and the child can benefit from the relationship. Don't do it for your husband or your spouse or whoever is the extra, or we doing it because we think it's the right thing to do. So and I think those are things that I think helped us early on. But I know I'm ask Israel, because I don't want to go too much. But Israel, one of the things, and I'll ask you, what made the relationship with you and my wife, how did that relationship grow or change? What made it develop to what it is now? Because right now I think y'all have a great relationship. Would you agree?
I agree.
So how would you say, what made it to you, what sparked that said, okay, I see, I can open up, because I know, for the most part, she ain't always, she ain't gonna be that one that's rolling around playing and clowning like we do. But it was something. So what was it, or do you remember?
I do remember. So I think that a huge part of what shaped our earlier dealings was age. Because I was basically preteen, teenager, and rebellious as it is. So a lot of that was another person telling me what to do is irritating. And then we had some little clashes with rules and stuff like that. But I think a big part of what helped us become better as I got a little older, more mature, is what you mentioned, just being able to look back and seeing she did always have stuff for me and my sisters, that she always treated us like we were her kids when we came here, came with you as opposed to at my mom's house. So it was regardless of what was going on, there was still always love, regardless of the stresses and always all those types of parental kid issues. It was the love was always there. The fair treatment was always there. So that went a long way.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we kind of take for granted, is that we think that because they or the kids come over, or this, it's almost like we as a parent sometimes you feel like, I got to do more, or I got to treat them differently, because and sometimes you can go overboard on the other side of trying to do more because they're only there for a short period of time, and then other times you I'm going, I still got to make sure I'm doing this for this one because he or she is always here and the other ones are not. But it has to be that fair, consistency is what children need more than anything. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes as parents of the children that's being blended, on both sides, you got to be mature enough to not cause your child more problems. They already going back and forth and dealing with the whole lineage stuff that they got to deal with. But then sometimes parents, look, you just because your child is going to be with their other parents, you can't be adding fuel to that and making it more toxic, making them think like, oh, they gonna stop loving you because they with somebody else. Your kids gonna love you as long as you treat them right. They gonna love you. You always gonna be mommy or you always gonna be daddy no matter what. But because I come to visit this person or my other parent and the other person is there, it doesn't mean I can't get more love.
Yeah, I know. For that didn't exist for me. That needing to feel loyal to somebody. I didn't get into all those kind of politics, but like I know that was a thing with other people, like with my siblings that maybe they felt that if they were cool, they were betraying my mom, something like that, and I don't think it was necessarily a way that my mom made them feel, but. You know what I mean? That exists. And then part of it too is getting used to people. Yeah. Honestly, like that's not like your parents. It's tricky, I feel like, because your parents are your parents ideally from birth. So you're getting to know them however they are as whatever they are. Like the way you get to know them, that's how you always have known them. But meeting someone at like 10, 11, you have to get to know them, but they're also like a parental figure at that point too. Right. So it's a little tricky situation because I don't even really already know you, and you have the authority to tell me what to do too. Yeah. So I mean, and be family, like we're family. So it's not like you're a teacher or something like that. So yeah, it's just a lot to navigate that I guess people don't think about too much.
Yeah, and I think it's important, to again we have to think about the child or the children. In a lot of cases where we don't. I remember when my ex-wife, she got married, I reached out to her husband. We went out, talked to him, and because I wanted to give him or make the transition for him dealing with my kids as smooth as possible. I didn't want him to feel like, oh, if I say this, if I do this, their dad looking over my shoulder, or he gonna say this and it's gonna be an issue. No, I'm trying to kill all that early on to have this relationship where, man, we got a relationship. So now you have a relationship with my children, but we also have a relationship. So I'm trusting you to do right by my children. And if by chance there's an issue, I'm going to support you as long as we got understanding. So we got to have those conversations as men. Man to man, we having this conversation, but I think women should do the same thing. And I think that's one of the things that can help the child fall in line and understand the structure. I used to invite, him, my ex-wife's husband. I invited him. He go play ball with us. Come to the gym, man. Come play out, because I wanted him to get to know me and be comfortable enough with me. So also is that, you know me, we cool. So you're going to treat my kids with a level of respect because you know me. But it's not like they over there and we over here and the two shall never meet. No, it was never that. It was like, here I am, here you are. So if there's a function that's going on and I show up or you show up, there don't have to be this awkwardness. And that's what I think people don't do enough of. It's like we act like, look, if I don't want her no more and she don't want me no more, why we got awkwardness because they got an ex or they got a new person? You ain't want me in the first place. I ain't want you. So I ain't got no awkwardness for you. I'm glad you got somebody. So we should be able to do that. And then our kids will feel more comfortable when those moments come where there's something going on, where they don't feel like, oh, I can't show you too much love because mommy don't really like you or daddy don't really like you, so I can't show you too much love in front of them. When in reality, you should be able to show as much love. The child should be able to show love to everybody, and more importantly, they should receive that love from everybody, as opposed to just saying, okay, you got your mom and your dad who love you. No, you're fortunate enough to have your mom and your dad's wife and your mom's husband all loving you. And if that's how it could be, that's even better for the young person. So again, I think sometimes we have to stay away from that negative, the negativity of our relationship tying into what we do or don't do for our children. So when you're blending a family, you actually are blending families. You're not just blending children into a family. You're blending that other family and your family together so that the child or the children can hopefully be as healthy as possible dealing with the back and forth that they're going to go through. And so, when you're young, you don't always make the right decision,
Unless
it's you, of course.
Thank you.
So, but for most of us, and I'll speak again, I was, very young when my daughter was born, got married very young, went through the early part of my relationship and ended up getting divorced even, when you're still young, so all that was young. So I made a lot of bad decisions and choices based off of my youth and emotions, as opposed to based off of what was always best for either the children or was best for the other people in the relationship. It was sometimes selfish. It was sometimes, and sometimes it was based strictly off of my feeling. I don't feel this anymore. So that's not healthy for your children. So when you build in, talking about blending families, and hopefully, if you got children and you're young, before you get into a new relationship, or by the time you get into a new relationship, you're a little older and you're making better decisions. But you have to start thinking, how is this going to affect my child? How do we do this so it can be as healthy as possible for them? And that's not going to mean I'm going to always like the way I have to do things. Sometimes I'm going to do things because it's the best thing to do for them, not because I necessarily like it. Now, for me personally, I have no problem with another dude coming in after me saying, okay, well, now this is my wife, and we got ways that you run your house however you need to run your house, bro. I got no problems with your house. All I wanted to do is make sure we clear on that I'm always going to be a part of their life, and I'm always going to be here. So as long as you clear that I'm always going to be here, we can have a relationship too. That way, for my son that was going through certain things, and it was like, it's time for my son to come live with me. You can say, well, he don't listen, or that may be true, but he's my son. So instead of you getting into it with him and then him doing some of the things I know he might do, and then y'all really get into it, now me and you gonna have a problem, we'll just let my son come live with me. And so he'll be here with us. And so those things that I'm teaching him to become a man, meaning he's going to buck the system and find his own where to stand, I'm going to be there to help keep it in control. But even when he get out of line, I'm never going to not love him. I'm never going to not want to be there for him. Now, you on the other hand may be like, yeah, I'm going to punch that young dude in his head. Well, that's my son. Now, if you punch my son in the head, we got a problem. But I can punch my son in the head because he's my son, and I know how to punch him just right. So
I have a couple disputes.
But
sure, continue.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's the whole thing. It's like at certain times, having those relationships or building that relationship with with the other parents allow the child to grow and even move to a different situation that may be healthier for him or better for her. But you can't do it if you strictly stuck into your feeling and you're focusing on what you get or what you need out of this versus what the child gets or what the child needs. And I'm a firm believer that at a certain point, and for all if dad is in the life and dad is trying to do right and you got a boy, at some point that boy probably need to go be with daddy for a while. Because he needs to learn some things at a certain age that only daddy can teach him. And those are things that, and this has no knock on what mothers do or how they do it, but now he's growing into that manhood that I need. Like I use, like, think of it like the lion pride a lot of times in life. The lions, they teach the young boys, and the boys get to a certain age and they've seen daddy doing this and how daddy ran things in the pride. But after a certain age, they try to challenge you. So they may growl at daddy, smack him upside the head a little bit, but daddy won't have to tighten their behind up, and then they end up leaving and they'll start their own pride. But when they leave, they're mature enough and strong enough to be able to handle their own pride. But they could never get that if daddy wasn't there. And it's the same way for my boys, at least, in that I feel like when it was time for them to leave, I have no doubt that they'll be able to take care of their own pride. Now, they may struggle in certain areas. It may take a while for them to figure it out, but it's all in them because I was able to teach it. The same goes for the daughter, in that she knows that daddy is always going to be there for her. So you can't allow the blending of family to make her feel at any point like daddy's not going to be there. If she don't live with daddy, but she needs to know, but I don't live with him, but if I need him or if I need to be with him, I can always be with him. And I think that's the healthy part of relationships and blending these families. That's going to take a time. Now, I know for a fact that there are some people that'll be like, well, it's my child. I do what I want to do. Well, that's true as your child, but you shouldn't necessarily say I do what I want to do. Because is it healthy for your child? Is it beneficial for your child? Because if you holding grudges about a man or a woman that don't want you no more, so you're going to take it out on the child or take it out on them through the child, how is that going to be beneficial for them? Or how is that going to help them grow into good people, first of all, and not have animosity, which ultimately will probably turn on you at some point? Because you're the reason they don't have a good relationship with mom or dad, because you decided to cause the friction. So ultimately, when they get old enough and they start really weighing things out, they'll figure out who was there for them and who will be there for them.
Okay, so back up a little bit. Okay. How do you, as a parent, navigate that?
How do you navigate
that other parent? That's my child. I'm gonna do what I want.
The best thing you do, the first thing, I shouldn't say the best, but one of the best things you can do is not get emotional. As hard as that is. Because when you get emotional, you respond emotionally. And when you respond emotionally, then you're going to match their emotion, whatever that is, that negativity, you're going to match it with more negativity. But what you got to do is stay in that, I'm going to do what's best for my child. I'm not focusing on you no more. You're going to do what you have to do or how you want to respond. But if I focus on what's best for my child, eventually you're going to either look very stupid in front of our child, and the child gonna notice it for themselves, and you gonna have to make adjustments, or you just gonna get tired of me not responding to you. Or when I say responding, I mean meeting your emotional level. I'm not gonna meet that. Now, I'm not saying you don't do anything, meaning when I say don't respond, I'm talking responding emotionally. You think about what you need to do and how you need to do things so that it's best suited for your child and it best helps your child. But you don't want to respond or do things emotionally, because then it's going to hurt your child more than help them. Because now you putting them in a state of confusion. It's like, all right, well, mommy said this, and if I tell daddy, he's going to get mad, and then they're going to be fighting, and it's going to be a mess. So now the kid is carrying the weight that two grown people should have been carrying, because y'all all in y'all feelings. And then y'all wonder why your child moving or got these emotional issues as they growing up, because they was carrying your baggage. So you got to make sure you don't match that level of sometimes childishness, that level of pettiness. I ain't trying to match that. I'm sticking with what's best for my child. And I'm going to work with you, or because I have to do what's best for them. And I think that's where we make our mistakes sometimes. We get in our feelings because that person pushed the button that really they shouldn't have no access to your button no more. but they learned it a long time ago.
I think there's a pause in there somewhere.
No, because this is what I mean by it. It's like when we were together, you knew things that would, like what buttons to push to piss me off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that we break up, you shouldn't have the access to push that button anymore. However, because I can't stay focused and I can't grow, I'm keep giving you access to that same button, as opposed to saying, I know what you're doing. It ain't working no more, because you don't mean that much to me anymore. You're not the same person that was close enough to get there. So now I'm not going to allow that to happen anymore. So we got to make sure that we grow individually so that we can do what's best for our children and their development. And unfortunately, we don't always do that. So it's and people, it's like people will say, well, the other person, let's say you got a woman that, and you moved on and you got married, and the lady, or she's not married anymore, or she's not married, or she's not in a good relationship or any, real relationship. So people say, well, she just want him back. Do she really want him back? Or is that your insecurities about who you with? Because sometimes we can add more to it than it needs to be. Maybe she just a pain in the butt. Don't mean she want him back. She could just be being a pain in the butt. But when you start adding in that, she just want him back, then you make the issue much different or much more toxic than it even needed to be. We could just focus on the fact that she a pain in the butt and deal with that issue. Let's not add any more issues to it. And it could be vice versa, because I know men can do the same thing. But I'm just saying that we have to make sure that we don't add to the toxicity of a relationship because we putting on things that don't necessarily, that we don't know for a fact apply. But we going by our own insecurities a lot of times and making the relationship best. Only thing we can focus on is, hey, what did this person do? And how is it best for the child? And then we move from there. What's best for this child? And what's best for a child in any blended family is whatever I say. But what's best for them is that they know, one, that they're loved without a doubt. And then two, that we're going to do whatever on both sides. We're going to do what's best for their growth and what's best for them, regardless of if mommy and daddy are together, or mommy got a new husband, daddy got a new wife. That just means you got more people loving on you, and we have to do what's best for them in those ways. So and so Israel, I know yours, you got a little something going that's a little different, in that blended family. But what would you say is the thing you learned the most? Rather it's like something I learned that I as a child I took into how I deal now, or maybe you just figured it out after you got older.
As a child, I think I kind of.
Yeah, but as how it affects now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
As a child, I think I kind of I liked what I saw with you and my stepdad. That was interesting as far as the maturity that I felt like that took. Even back then, I'm like, yeah, it's a little weird, but it was cool. And then also there was the flip side, because my mom and stepmom didn't always get along. So just being able to see how both of those situations were, one being more tense and the other being more relaxed and fun. It definitely played a role in how I view anything with my oldest son. And like with his mom and her getting in relationships, it's like I don't really see the point in being combative.
Right.
If you looking on and he I just make sure I ask him questions, my son questions, like, you cool? You feel good with this dude around? Like, he don't do this or that? things like that. Just checking with him, and if he's cool. I don't think I can be in a place just based on circumstances where I'm about to be cool with like, to that degree with any of her people just because we aren't like that. But I don't. We can be cordial. Like I've seen her ex-boyfriend at like some aid and stuff, and cool, what's up? I mean, that's it. Keep moving. I guess that was just shaped by just seeing both extremes.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing. Is like you may not ever be friends, but it doesn't mean it has to be a hostile situation that puts the kid in an uneasy position or make them feel some kind of way that that's like, oh, I don't know how to respond to this, or I don't know how to act. Not necessarily. It's like, we just love, man. You love them, I love them. That's all that matters. As long as you love my child and you're going to treat them with love and respect, we ain't got no problems, man. And I think that's where you have to grow to as parents so that it don't affect the children. And I think that's the problem. Most parents, we kind of, a lot of times we'll say, well, the child don't listen or the child don't do this. That's really not the child's fault. It's the adult's fault that put that stress on, or put that on the child to make him or her feel like, I don't have to listen to this person, or I don't have to do this because daddy said, if he says something to me, just tell him. Or if he do this, and look, we ain't gotta go, nah, bro, my son, you gotta respect adults, period. Now, if the adult get out of hand or act crazy, you come to that. But it's the same thing if you was at school. I'm not telling my child to go to school and don't have to listen to the teachers. So why would I tell them when they at home and they got a step parent in the house that they don't have to listen? That makes no sense. You gotta follow the rules of that house. And as long as the person is being respectful, whether that's teacher or any other adult, you follow the rules. And if they don't, then you follow the rules, but then you come to me and we'll address it as adults. But I'm not putting that on a child and making them feel uneasy about things that shouldn't be. So,
I always just felt like consistency was the most important thing. Like even as a child, like I knew if I wasn't following or listening to stuff at my dad's house, I'm not listening to stuff in another man's house either. You know what I mean? Like I'm not listening in either house. So consistency. So I'm gonna be disobedient everywhere.
Yeah. So that's why you get these two pieces. Every once in a while to bring you back in line to say, hey, there are rules that listen. And ultimately, we talking about kids growing up. They're not gonna be a child forever. But if you don't teach them how to follow rules and teach them that there are rules in this world, when they become an adult, the world will teach them that they should follow stuff. The cops will teach them. The unemployment line will teach them that, you should be, if you follow these rules, you wouldn't get fired. There are rules and things that you have to learn as a child and at home that's going to help you develop in this world. And help you be an adult that's adding to society more ways than just taking from it. So again, we have to teach our kids that. So I hope y'all got a little something out of this. And it was blended families. I mean, most of the world is blended now. I mean, as far as our families go. So you're gonna get used to it. If you don't have a blended family, good for you. If you have one, good for you. Just make sure you treat them all with respect. You're not going to treat every child the same, but you treat them all fair. And that's all you can do. So with that, Izzo.
Yes, sir.
What we got, bro? We got any issues, any things you want to bring up from the people?
No, the people are good. The people feel like you've sufficiently answered questions.
Cool. So I hope so. And so if I didn't, feel free to add in the comments or, but give us some feedback. If you want us to go a little deeper into certain things, let me know. We try to do that. So other than that, we're about to bounce up out of here, Izzo.
So I guess there's only one thing left for the people to do.
And that is?
Tell a friend to tell a friend. to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. Tell some more friends. To like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
All that stuff.
All of it, please. And thank you.
We appreciate you guys. And you know, you telling people, we keep telling people, and we keep doing
Yeah,
this.
we all gonna spread the word, man. Let's spread the word together.
Yeah, and we keep doing this, you know, for a while. And, you know, as long as y'all keep listening, we'll keep doing it. You know, even if y'all don't listen, we'll probably keep doing it because I kind of enjoy it. Because I think it's good information.
It's nice. You know, it's nice.
It might be like
just
50
to spend this time together.
Hey,
Priceless,
most
you
important
know,
thing.
yeah, to the most.
Yeah. So hopefully y'all get something, but we got something. So we good.
Big facts.
So we'll holler at y'all later. Until later, we out of here.
And remember, here's Rob. I just look like him.
Peace.
Hello.
Studio. We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob. We in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Catch a vibe. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Is alone and only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Good with the OG like Flintstones. Good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that you ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Come let the heat rock simmer.